He doesn't have his newborn smell no more. He smells like milk. Nasty milk. Don't nobody want to smell that. Hey God's babies, welcome back to another video. It's your girl GB Sid. It's been about 6 weeks since I recorded my last video and I am so excited to get back to it. My son is taking a nap, so hopefully he'll sleep for another 30-40 minutes. But if not, he'll just be joining us for the video. So I took down a couple notes and hopefully I can get this video in less than 25 minutes. Whew, how's everybody been? I don't know how the YouTube girls bang out content when they're freshly postpartum. Shout out to the YouTube girls. And maybe one day I will get there. You know, by the time I have my second baby, maybe I'll be a pro at this YouTube stuff. But y'all, that's crazy to me that people are recording content when they just have babies. But okay, so let's get to it. Okay, y'all, so I'm getting induced. I was hungry. I'm getting induced. I've had blood pressure throughout my pregnancy, so I had an appointment today, and the nurse came back in and she was like, Sid, you're gonna have to be induced. They want you to go over, you know, after your appointment. She said it's not emergency, but you definitely want to go ahead and make your way over to the center or whatever. Center hospital. I don't know the terminology, y'all. And so I said, okay, well, can I go home? Like, can I shower? I have some last minute cleaning to do. I still got to grab my hospital bag. Like, my doggone car seat ain't in the car. Like, I got some things to figure out first, ma'am. She said, okay, yep, just come back. Don't take too long, maybe 2-3 hours. So I was supposed to be back at 5. It's 5:30. I'm eating in the car, but I'm parked. And I feel blessed because I'm on the first level, and I was nervous about getting a ride to the hospital my entire pregnancy. I had been a little anxious about it. My child's father doesn't live in Michigan. I mean, he lives in Michigan, so I'm in Ohio. So I was a little nervous, oh my gosh, I go to my water breaks, how am I gonna get to the hospital? And then I was relying on my doula. But then, you know, I wasn't even sure if I would be able to get in contact with her. So it's not necessarily, I'm not blessed. I don't feel blessed that I'm getting induced, but I feel blessed that I've had a pretty healthy, easy pregnancy. My baby I'm 39 weeks. I'll be 40 weeks on Friday. Today's Wednesday, so I'm full term. He's fully grown. So I was like, you know what? It ended up being a good thing because I was able to drive myself. I got my car seat in. I was able to shower and just listen to worship music before I came up. Got some food. So I'll give you guys updates as the day goes on. Okay. Bye, y'all. That week, I had been doing my little laboring exercises. I was, you know, not really eating my dates, but I was drinking my raspberry leaf tea every day. I was doing what I thought I needed to be doing, okay? So, fast forward, I didn't have my hospital bag or anything ready. I wanted a nap. I hadn't ate, so I had went back to my apartment. I cleaned up knowing that my parents would come in town, and got my hospital bag, went to get something to eat. So about 3.5 hours later, finally checked into the hospital, and I went to triage first. I was in triage for about 2 hours. She told me kind of how the process would go, what induction looked like, my medication choices, whatever. So fast forward, I get into the actual room. And I'm just kind of breaking down kind of my experience. So the nurse offers me the medicine. I honestly forgot what it was called, y'all. But she offers me the medicine and she says that you could get it through a vaginal suppository. I said, well, hold on. I know that you could do the oral. She goes, oh, you could do the oral version. So that was already irritating because you can now tell the difference between different nurses and the staffing at the hospital, right? So some staff were really excellent. Some were just very... I get the first pill about 9 p.m. So I get to the hospital at 6:30, around 6:30, get my first pill at 9. I get the second pill at 1 a.m. By this time, I think my mom leaves. My mom gets to the hospital maybe around like 8-ish, maybe even a little before that, 7, 8. She lives about 3.5 hours away, give or take. So, she got there by the time that I was out of triage, but in the second room. So she leaves for the night. She goes to my apartment, and she's like, okay, but just like, if you want me to stay, I can. Said, nope, I'm good. But I'll text you and call you, give you updates. So my mom leaves. I try to get some rest because earlier that day I woke up early and I didn't get a lot of sleep. So this is on a Wednesday. And from when I woke up that morning to the hospital, like later that day, I hadn't gotten any rest. So maybe I'll try to get some shut-eye. I don't think I really get any shut-eye. So anyway, my water breaks around like 2:30 a.m. I contact my doula. My doula comes maybe like an hour later. Sorry y'all if you hear background noise. I am doing my laundry. My doula comes about an hour later. And then so she's helping me through the contractions, and I was proud of myself because she goes, wow, you're handling these really well, way better than I expected. And I was like, you know, yeah. Fast forward, a nurse comes in, she's checking my vitals, whatever, and maybe she goes, okay, the room is about to have a lot of people in here, you're gonna be all right, whatever, we're just doing a check. Okay, so by the time my mom is here and my doula is here, all the folks come in. I don't really remember much of what's going on. My doula, my mom said by this point I'm substantially in much more pain, which I do recall being in much more pain because I think at one point I remember like kind of like whining, like not full on crying, but like I'm in a lot of pain, but I'm like determined to do this natural vaginal birth just for the experience. But if I had to get an epidural, I was open to that as well. So they rushed me to the operation room, but they rushed me because his heart rate drops, but he doesn't. Oh, when my water broke, y'all, there was poop, meaning that he was in distress. But nobody had told me, oh, you might have to get a C-section. The nurse at the time, even though she was a little bit annoying with like not giving me all the information, she was very calm. So I had no idea that anything wrong was happening. I mean, even when the nurse came in, I don't even recall being like, oh, things are going downhill. I had absolutely no idea, which in some cases I actually think is great. So yada yada yada. I'm in the operation room, and this is really when things are getting frustrating for me because I'm going from a very dim light with minimal people to bright light, tons of people, and I'm just in excruciating pain. My doula had given me back massages like on and off throughout contractions, so I had asked one of the ladies to give me a back massage, so that really helped me. But y'all, the bedside manners were just absolutely just, they were gossiping, not about me, but gossiping about work drama while they were trying to console me. Like I said, there was a lot of folks going on. People were being loud as hell for no reason. At one point, I told the folks, like, can y'all minimize sidebar conversations? Thank you very much. And I forgot how, but they asked me if I wanted an epidural. I said no. They later on convinced me to get the epidural essentially for a safety thing. So I said okay. Also, I want a very minimal cervical check. So I had got a cervical check when I believe when I first checked in. When my water broke, I got a cervical check. I was 3 centimeters. And then before I went to the operation room, I got another cervical check and I was at 5 centimeters. So then when I was in the operation room, they convinced me again to get another cervical dilation check, which I told them multiple times I didn't want. But from what I remember, the logic was if you still want to have a vaginal birth, if you're at 10 centimeters, you could go back to the room and start pushing. But I knew I wasn't ready to push, and I didn't need a baby. I didn't need to previously go through birth to know that it wasn't ready. My body just knew this baby is not coming like right away. I just knew that. So I said, you know, I really don't need it. But she told me that, which in a sense, I don't want to say she played on my knowing that I wanted to give a natural birth, but I just didn't like her tone. I didn't like her demeanor. I felt like she, even when she was explaining things to me, she said, I'm not trying to scare you, but, and it was really just her tone, you know what I mean? And I just didn't like her, honestly. Like, I wish I knew her name so I could report her. So this is where things started to get, well, things had already been super annoying, but they tried to give me an epidural. I forgot how, but they convinced me to get an epidural, even though at one point they said I would have to be put completely under. They told me the risk. I said, you know what? I'm in so much pain at this point, y'all. I'm shaking. My booty hole's contracting. I'm in so much pain that I'm like, you know what? I'm okay with being put under. Then they're like, well, you don't want to be completely put under if you don't have to, and here's all the risks. So now I feel like, you know what? I'm about to wring y'all neck. I'm about to wring y'all's neck because you're pissing me off. I'm not sure. Which one is it, stupid hoes? Which one is it? Am I going to be completely put under or not? And part of the framework that you have to understand why this was so irritating to me was because I'm assuming this was afterwards. Of course, some of the details are jumbled, y'all. But as I was laying down, when I looked on this side, the nurse had told me that I would more than likely have to be completely put under for the surgery. She said, at this point, you're probably going to have to get a C-section and be completely under, right? And so I think this was after I had got my epidural, which was already a process in itself because my epidural probably took 20 to 30 minutes to put in. I kept moving because I was shaking, right? I was shaking. I was in a lot of pain. And at one point I wanted to slap the nurse because she goes, or the lady who was doing the epidural, because she goes, ma'am, I need you to stop moving. Like, said it like that. Who are you talking to? Who? But you know what? This is when I was in my mind talking to the Holy Spirit, like, Jesus, please. Because why are y'all irritating me like this? And you're telling me to be still and you see me shaking on this table, you goofy lady. Put me under. Put me under. Forget the natural birth. Put me under. Knock me out. So, of course, the epidural doesn't take. So, you know what they ended up having to do? Put me under. But let's back up. Let's rewind because I'm getting a little... I hope y'all could keep up. Remember I told y'all, I looked at one nurse, I looked to the one side, the nurse was like, you're going to probably have to get a C-section and be put under. Cool. Looked on the other side, the other lady talking about, let's do one last cervical check because if you're at 10 centimeters, remember like I told y'all, if you're at 10 centimeters, then you could give birth vaginally. I was so confused. So, terrible bedside manners, not presenting all the information, misalignment of action plans. And so, you know what? I had enough. Like I said, the epidural wasn't working, so I was laying there and they were about to, you know, give me the medication or the anesthesia. I don't know how to say it. And yeah, dude, I was in tears at this point. I was crying, I was praying in my mind, and I just literally was crying profusely, and I just couldn't believe, I just felt very overlooked. Just, I don't know, I just felt like the OSU nurses, that's how I feel about y'all. Middle finger to you, that's how I feel. And I hope that if you guys are ever pregnant or have a daughter who gets pregnant, have a sister that you care about, a cousin, a homegirl, I hope they don't get treated as y'all treated me, because y'all suck and you need to get fired. But like I said, there were some nice ones. So one of the males, he was super comforting, and he's like, you're gonna be all right, you're gonna be all right, it's okay, it's okay. I wake up around like maybe 10, 11, and then I think maybe an hour or two later, I finally get to see my little Bookie Boo, and he's so handsome and precious, and he smells divine. And I couldn't really pick him up at first, so the nurses and my mom had to put him in my hands, but I just was like, it was all worth it. Look at him. It was all worth it. And apparently he had a cord around his neck, y'all. He had to get put on oxygen. So we were both beat up and bruised that day. But so that was my birth story. And then my postpartum experience. So my mom stayed with me for 2 weeks. And my mom did a lot of, like, you know, she kept the fridge full and, you know, fed him when I had a pump and stuff like that. So I was super happy that my mom came for 2 weeks, and when she was leaving, I was a little bit like, okay, if you have to go, I guess. But I was completely fine. There was conversations about moving back to Michigan, and that was like absolutely no. We have a dog, or my parents have a dog, y'all, and I'm not really a pet person, but on top of that, this pet is just, he barks all day long. And my parents actually, they had both came up, and so because I was in the hospital first 4 days, I wasn't at my apartment. So, and I keep my apartment relatively clean, y'all. It's like, I am messy sometimes, but for the most part I keep it clean. So when I came back to my apartment, things everywhere. The dog was barking, spots on my floor. I just was disgusted, really. And I was so overwhelmed, and I literally, my doula had came to see me, I think maybe that 3rd day of being postpartum, and I was talking to her, and I don't even really, well, I guess I do cry in front of people if I need to cry, but I just started crying. Like, I'm so overwhelmed. I remember at one point I came out of my room, and I was an undersupplier. So when I was in the hospital, my milk hadn't came in, so I was getting very little, even colostrum, I believe it's called. So my milk hadn't came in, so I was supplementing with donor milk in bottles. And so my doula had started donating some of her milk, and I was defreezing one of the packages, and I spilled like half of it on the floor. I busted out crying. And my baby was crying, and my mom was like, I'll clean up. I'm like, no, it's okay. Or actually, I don't think he was crying. My mom was like, oh, do you want to hold him and I'll go, take him? And I'm like, no, it's okay. Oh, my battery's about to die. Okay. Let me be mindful. My battery's about to die. I might have to change it, but I'm like, no. So anyway, long story short, my mom ends up cleaning it up for me. I take the baby, I recollect myself, and so that first 2 days, I think just between even I was trying to take a nap and my dog kept barking, and I was almost feel like I was filled with rage, y'all. It was a little bit like I could never move back home because this dog, I would probably end up taking him to a park and leaving him there on purpose. So but after those 2 weeks, so my dog ended up leaving on that 4th day. My dad and my dog left. Thank the Lord. I started slowly cleaning up a little bit, and then now here we are on week 5. Next week will be week 6, and I'm feeling great. I love motherhood. I've been adjusting well. I've been prioritizing certain things, and so as much as I love a clean apartment, sometimes I just do the bare minimum of just cleaning my kitchen. My laundry doesn't always, they say a small load a day keeps the piles away, but sometimes the small piles just don't get done. So, I've had this laundry sitting on my couch for probably 3 days. I'm going to put it up today though. It's reached its capacity. So I've just been finishing little chores in the house. I'm looking around what have I done? Finishing up little chores in the house that I wanted to complete. So postpartum has been good. We went out in public and it was pretty much what I expected it to be. I was very cautious of his wake windows, so I would try to really engage him during the wake windows. And when it was time to put him to sleep, I made sure that those were the times that I would like get up and, you know, go do what I had to do. So I've been navigating well. It's super annoying when people say, well, you're enjoying getting out, but just wait. Just wait on what? Like, please. Like, some people really just enjoy motherhood. There was many sleepless nights, many times, even now, where he gets to hooting and hollering, and I'm like, dude, what's going on? But again, those wake windows are crucial because a lot of times he's just tired. He don't even be hungry, he be tired. I feel like myself, I can't really relate to women when they say, you know, it took a long time to feel like myself. I feel like myself, I just feel like I've added a new part. I don't know. I've also feel like my heart has grown for women though, because I know there's people who haven't received the support that I received. They haven't received just some of the things that, maybe the mindsets that I've had. You know, I walk with the Lord, so the Lord really keeps me sane and cool, calm, and collected, and I wouldn't be able to do this journey without God. So I don't know how people do it without him, but me, I absolutely know that my experience, postpartum experience, has been blessed because I'm doing it with the Lord. My milk supply went up. I'm starting to build my stash. My son was having latching issues, so I got a lactation consultant, and it was expensive, but it was so worth it. And now, you know, on week 5, the 2 weeks where he didn't latch or was having a bad latch or just things weren't going well, I mean, it almost seems like, did it even happen? I mean, that's just, things are just rocking and rolling. We're doing great. Like I said, my mind shifts have changed, but I had to pray to enjoy motherhood. I prayed against mom guilt. You know, I don't know. I would say I'm thriving. I'd say the mom life is a good life, baby. It's a good, great life. My niece came to visit me, and everybody knows I love my niece. So my niece came to visit me. My homegirl from Michigan came to visit me. You know. Is that him? No, false alarm. So yeah, I'm doing great. For real, I'm doing great. The Lord has been providing for me. So yeah, I'm halfway through my maternity leave. That was such a blessing. I mean, oh my goodness. Shout out to Crumble in 12 weeks maternity leave, paid maternity leave. That was such a blessing. I got a raise before I went on maternity leave. I received a bonus that I really wasn't even qualified for. So God has been providing me because I was actually pretty nervous about finances. And I'm just so blessed. Just so blessed. I would have people send me random money. It's just, friends would come over and they would pay for everything. I mean, what can I say? Favor. It followed me. Thank you for listening to my birth story and my postpartum experience. I don't want to be necessarily a mom content girl, so I'm probably going to do maybe 1 or 2 more videos about mom content and then go back to just making Jesus videos. But see y'all next time. Bye. Let me get this lipstick off him now. He said, okay, my dang. That's enough. That's enough. Get off me. I don't like how you just pushed me like that. That was rude. That was rude. Y'all know newborns when they be... Why do they do that? kiss from me. Mwah.